Good evening everyone and welcome to another of Qwizical's Guides to with me Qwizical, and today we're going to be looking at something slightly more advanced. We're going to be looking at how to protect your lead. Now, what can happen sometimes during a game is you end up getting a good 50 to 100 points, maybe even more ahead, and you're only halfway through the game. But how do you make sure that you convert that lead into a victory? So we're going to look at an example of a game that I've just witnessed on ISC, and we're going to see how we can turn this 100-point lead into a victory. So our opponent has just played the word Lowry, and that's a pretty bad move from the opponent in a way. It blocks their only floater, and it completely limits that top left quadrant of the board, though that quadrant isn't particularly useful in the first place. But the L wasn't really a floater that was going to get blocked. And now it's quite easy to limit everything in this bottom left quadrant of the board. Ooh, over here. And it can be done by a move like Bride, or even something like Jibes here. Jibes is really volatile though. It's one of those moves that, you know, with the Y still unseen, it's really open to a big point comeback. But at the same time with Jibes, you're limiting the R. It's very unlikely to have a bonus along row O now, and the only 8s that are realistically going to happen are through the U of Lowry, through the L of Lowry. 7-letter bonuses are going to come in the form of across row B, ending in I, H, O or T, and any 7-letter word down column 14. That's pretty much the only places that the opponent or Grey Falcon here is going to get his bonus. Now, with the typical 100-point lead, what's going to happen is if your opponent does get their usual 70-point bonus, if you're averaging about 25 points a turn, you're going to have the ability to even maintain just level, even if your opponent gets those 2 bonuses. So like a 100-point lead after 70 points, you're 30 ahead, you score 25, you're 55 ahead, they get a bonus, they're 15 points ahead, and then maybe you'll end up level or 10 points ahead even, and the 100-point lead is really a big cushion and really, really useful. But here the word Bride was played, and this move I really didn't like from Grey Falcon. It was really limiting to the actual openness of the board. Even though we've now opened column 15, the bonus now has to begin with S, and he's just limited a load of 7-letter word options. I mean, what Bride did was also limit what could play along this triple, and also the S hook on War here, because most words tend to end in S, so it's much harder to put your S in the middle of the word. And R just really blocks the board out. So when you're considering kind of what places on the board to block, you've got to think about how easy it is for your opponent to play there, but also how much it scores and what it gives back to you. So for example, you'd be more likely to keep the lane down column 14 open, because a bonus there will probably score about 65, 66 points, and you're going to have access to 2 or 3 triples. And at that point, you'll probably end up with 30 points back. So their bonus really will only get them another 30 points on you. The same with a bonus along row B. That one will get about 70, but it's just so unlikely that your opponent's going to find a bonus that ends in the right letter that you don't have to close it. The biggest risks on this board are really this bottom half of the board now. So anything through the U, the R, the I, and this R here. This I is kind of it's really just a face value bonus. It's not the riskiest thing in the world. You'd have to be pretty unlucky if your opponent could get it all the way down to the triple, but it can happen. So one thing that I know Qwizical here considered was spelt correctly, Jurga. Now what this does, it limits the R and the I, which are the best floaters, and it also somewhat limits this R here. And, while you don't have to necessarily block all the tiles in order to be defensive, you really just have to limit the opportunities. Now, don't think you have to sacrifice loads and loads of points to block. That's not what you have to do. To block, to block properly, to completely kill off openings, you're really going to end up sacrificing like 10, 15, 20 points sometimes. And the thing is, when you're trying to maintain your lead, on one hand you have to be defensive, and on the other hand you really need to keep scoring. So you have to weigh up the defensiveness of your player and the scoring, and you're always going to end up sacrificing some kind of score to make some kind of defense, and you're always going to end up sacrificing some kind of defense to make some kind of score. So what was actually played here was Triggs. Now the only thing that really does block is the S-hook down column 15, which I said wasn't very dangerous. But the opponent now gets their bonus back with oil fired, which is a pretty neat word. But now that they've actually got their bonus back, where is their 2 bonus on the board now? Now that column 15 is completely blocked, row N is now completely gone. The R and the I floaters are now completely gone as well. So we're literally just left with the U, which is a really unlikely bonus floater anyway, and row B. So here any play like Junto or Jots are really good because they take out one of the 2 bonus openings. And it's more likely that they would have a 7-letter word ending in T than they would having one with a U right at the beginning, because any bonus through this U would likely begin with the prefix out, and there's only one O and one T in the bag. But as we can see here, they nearly have the word out given. So close to getting that bonus back. But as you can see throughout this point, Jot now brings Qwizical back to his 100-point lead, which, he's managed to maintain that lead despite his opponent getting a bonus. And that's something really, really key to consider. Because all this time that, we wanted to start closing the board down, we scored 37 points, 31 points, 28 points. That's essentially half a bonus or a third of a bonus right there. So over 3 turns, you're going to accumulate the same bonus score. So you can see why it's really important. So obviously, the problem with this here for Grey Falcon is that he's fishing and he's not making an opening. And the good thing is for you protecting your lead, you don't have to worry about any new openings on the board because there are none. You just have to block everything that currently exists, which is, at this point, it's just this U here. But neat hooks are always nice. As I said, get the score. Score's nice. And considering, all of this left in the bag, there's 5 consonants, and there's a U and a Y, and honestly, the U is now just a complete non-threat, almost. So taking the points here is just not a bad idea. And as we can see, not blocking the opening didn't matter, but instead of next turn Qwizical then having to block the opening just in case his opponent had a bonus, his opponent blocked it for him. So he got pretty lucky there, that his opponent was also kind of doing all the blocking for him. But those are the kind of plays that if you were the one trying to block, those are the ones you want to make. And if you were trying to open, that would be the complete opposite of what I would recommend you do. But anyway, summary time. Point number 1. To protect your lead, you must think defense. Like I've showed you in all these examples, you've got to defend and you have to keep the board tighter. You don't necessarily have to block everything. You just have to make sure that what you do block is the riskiest stuff or is the higher scoring stuff. And you don't have to completely block it off, you just have to limit it to the point where stuff doesn't fit. And then once you've blocked off most of the floaters, then there's only 1 or 2 places for your opponent to bonus. It'll only get them 60 points, and you should also have a lead by that point. Second point, empty the bag quicker. Sometimes when you're trying to finish the game quicker when you've got a lead, you need to play a lot more tiles than you would maybe initially do to empty the bag quicker and to end the game quicker. What this does is this means your opponent has less tiles to fish with. They have less turns in which they're going to get the bonuses they need to win. Point number 3, maintain your lead. You can't just defend. If you don't score as well, your opponent is going to catch up. And if they catch up, they may win. So always try and find that balance between the defense and the score, and then hopefully you'll still have your 100-point lead or maybe 70-point lead by the time it gets closer to endgame. And point number 4, sometimes the best move won't be the best choice. So in the case of having your lead, sometimes maybe taking the place for the most score, or maybe even playing a bonus, just potentially won't be the best thing to do, because you can still give a lot more stuff back to your opponent than if you just kept it slightly more tighter. So let's say you've actually drawn a bonus and you've got the last blank on your rack. If you bonus, maybe you go 150 ahead, but you've just opened a 9 timer. And your opponent is just lucky enough to have a 9 timer. Sometimes you have to consider what any potential move also opens, because you could be giving something back that is just going to completely wipe out that lead. So you need to make sure your opponent does not have the opportunity to wipe out your lead. And then hopefully, you've thought about your defense, you've weighed up all the moves, you found a balance between good score and good defense, and your move may actually end up blocking bonuses. I have been told that I am particularly good at blocking people's best move choices. So you never know if you think about defense. So thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. And I hope you will join me next time for more of Qwizical's guides. Bye!